Hey, everybody, hope you all are doing well. And seeing as we are just a couple of days away from the holiest of drinking holidays, or at least maybe the drinkingest of holy days, St. Patrick's Day, we have been doing our fair share amount of wandering around our local Total Wines and Costco. And I figured we'd put together a collage of a video of 7 of the best Irish whiskeys that you can pick up today for this St. Patrick's Day. And also, really, to our astonishment and unfortunately to our dismay, we're going to compare the current prices in 2023 to what they were looking like in 2022 and see the toll that inflation is taking on the Irish whiskey market. It's pretty shocking, even at Costco. Now, before we get to the video, if you like these videos, if you like the hauls, the reviews, the wanders, the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff we got cooking up for you, and we have tons of amazing stuff cooking up for you, don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help the channel to grow and we super appreciate that. But also, you get notified when our newest videos come out on Sundays and sometimes in between. All right, now let's get down to the video. Today, let's do a real quick whiskey check with a whiskey that I would have put on this list, except for the fact that it's only kind of fake Irish. It's not really Irish, which is this Kentucky Owl St. Patty's Day bourbon. So, also, we're going to try to enjoy a little bit before it gets put away until next St. Patrick's Day. Again, nothing says St. Patty's Day in America like a bourbon that's all dressed in green. So, let's try a little bit of this Kentucky Owl St. Patty's Day. See if we can get a pop. No, not bad. Pretty good. Look at the Irish is on our side. A little juice, and to whiskey. Because let's face it, you can never really drink too much of it. You can only just drink it too fast. Cheers. Mmm, so bourbony and Irishy. All right, first up, and I have put these in roughly in order of price, so the least expensive to the most expensive, is an Irish whiskey that the wife and I, well, we both really enjoy, especially when we're looking for something that isn't too expensive, but is great quality and has that very specific Irish whiskey taste of like buttery and shortbready and sweety fruitness, which is this Green Spot Irish whiskey. Let's take a look at that. And as you can see, we have enjoyed it a fair amount there. Now, it is the starting line really for any of the Spot Irish whiskeys. And although it doesn't have an age statement on it, the distiller, Mitchell and Sons, say that it is a whiskey that has whiskeys in it from 7 to 10 years old. ABV'd at 40% and is aged in ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and refill bourbon casks. And the mash bill on it is at 100% malted and unmalted barley. Now, the price that we see this one at Costco here in LA in 2023 is at $47.99. Costco item number 866193. And this is a lucky one that actually didn't have the price change from 2023 to 2022, as you can see. So it's $47.99 this year and last year, which again is a great price for a super enjoyable whiskey. So that is number one, the Green Spot Irish whiskey. Next up is an Irish whiskey that has a bit of a funny name. Every time I drink it, I am astonished about how good it really is because it does honestly swing way above its weight class, which is this Redbreast Lestau, Costco number 1302805. And Redbreast as a distillery, I mean, they really put out some awesome whiskeys at really all the different levels. But the Lestau is one that stands out especially because of the price point, because it's not too high, but it's also not the least expensive. Also, it is matured in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks. And the trick to this one, to give it kind of a unique, very luxe taste, is the fact they use Oloroso casks for the aging. It's distilled by Middleton and composed of both malted and unmalted barley. And although it doesn't have an age statement on it, which is kind of a bummer, Redbreast does claim that it has whiskeys in it between 9 and 12 years old. It's ABV'd at 46%, which you can see right there. So, it's got enough alcohol in it to keep it interesting, but obviously not too much to go over the top. And it is non-chilled filtered and distilled using Irish pot stills. Now, the price on it that we see here for 2023 at Costco is at $64.99, which is actually a pretty big jump in price from what we saw last year, but not, obviously the biggest one that we see on this list. But last year in 2022, it was listed at $54.99. So that is a $10 difference or 18.19% price increase. So it is a bit of a hefty price increase on it, but still not priced too bad. And at least in my opinion, it's definitely still worth it. So that is the second one on the list, the Redbreast Listowel edition. All right, at the number three spot for the best Irish whiskeys that you can get right now for St. Patrick's Day is a classic Irish whiskey that, to be honest, I haven't had a chance to enjoy as much as I would have liked, which is this Tillings single malt. That's a pretty cool little silo they got there for it, too, huh? Now, especially this Teeling specifically has a very unique aging strategy because they age the whiskey in five different types of casks. So they age it in sherry, port, Madeira, white Burgundy, as well as Cabernet Sauvignon casks to make what I would imagine is a delicious concoction of Irish whiskey. Now, it doesn't have an age statement on it, but it is ABV'd again at 46%, and you can see that right here. So it's not going to put you back on your heels after a few drams of it, but it's still going to be enough to let you know that there's a little bit of alcohol in there. Also, it has a mash bill of 100% malted barley. So luckily, this is another one of those Irish whiskeys that perhaps the inflation gods have smiled down upon, because the 2022 and the 2023 Costco prices did not change at all. So we got this one for $39.99. We actually got it last year. So it's, especially now, it's definitely a much better deal than it was last year. So that is the Teeling's single malt whiskey. All right, so number four, this is where the bottles start getting to more serious Irish whiskey with things like real age statements, with things like much higher prices, and also a pretty substantial price inflation from last year to this year. So the first one up is going to be this Yellow Spot 12, as you can see by the yellow spot. And this one is the older brother to the green spot, which means that it has a bit more maturing to it, a bit more kick to it, and a bit more flavor to it. It is aged 12 years in ex bourbon and ex sherry casks. It's ABV'd at 46%, which you can see right there. And it is non chill filtered, made with 100% malted barley. Now, one difference between this one and the green spot is that Middleton, the distiller, uses Spanish Malaga wine casks in the aging process to give it a super distinctive and delicious taste, again, apart from some of the other spots, like the green spot. So, all that being said, the most astonishing aspect of the yellow spot is actually the amount of the increase that it had from 2022 to 2023. Thank you, inflation. Oh, by the way, the item number on this one is 10031074 for Costco, for those of you playing Costco bingo. But in 2022, the cost was at $82.99, and that's how much we bought this one for back then, which you can see here in the video. But now in 2023, the price has jumped by $24. Let me take a drink for that one, or a whopping 28.92%, up to $106.99, which I think is the biggest percentage jump on this list, but it's definitely not the biggest dollar jump. So that's wow. So yeah, it is another great whiskey out of the spot collections. But man, with that jump in the prices, that's gonna be a little tough on the wallet. So I'm sure glad we got these when we did. That is the Yellow Spot 12. Now for this next whiskey, this is number five. One of my favorite things about whiskey is that a lot of times there are super high-end versions of everyday whiskeys that keep everything interesting. Now, a perfect example of this is the Jameson 18, and I don't have a bottle of it because we didn't end up buying it. But Jameson 18 is unlike the Jameson that, your uncle keeps in the bottom drawer of his desk because, one, it's aged 18 years old. Also, it's matured in ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and first fill bourbon casks, and also it's non-chilled filtered. It is from the Irish distilling giant Middleton, but the really only shortfall to it, at least in my mind, in my opinion, is that it is ABV'd at a more classic 40% ABV, which for I'm not gonna say modern drinkers, but for modern drinkers, it's a little bit low. The price that we found it for here at Total Wine from 2023, because I don't have it from 2022, but I do think it's a great Irish whiskey to get right now, is at $154.99, which is really not that bad for an 18-year-old whiskey. And if you are especially a Jameson lover, then this is a great opportunity to kind of church up your standard Jameson affair and bring your whiskey game up a little bit. So that is the Jameson 18 at number five. All right, so next up is another one of my favorites, and it's really starting to get into the big boys of the Irish whiskey game here. I would imagine it is the largest, the third of the billy goat scruffs that come over the bridge in that story, which is this Redbreast 21. I mean, just look at the container of it. That just screams expensive and delicious. Now, Redbreast makes some very good, some very interesting, and almost dessert-like sweet whiskeys. Again, like the Lestau, at the non-age statement level. But when you start getting into their age statement whiskeys, especially as they get higher up, that's when things start to get real serious. And this Redbreast 21 is probably the epitome of what a serious Irish whiskey can be, and it comes with a serious Irish whiskey price. Obviously, it is aged at 21 years old. It is a product of Ireland and is non-chilled filtered. Furthermore, it is distilled in single pot stills like the other ones, and it has a mash bill of 100% malted and unmalted barley. But what gives the Redbreast 21 its defined and exquisite mouthfeel is the usage of Oloroso sherry cask, coupled with the 21 years of maturity that goes along with it. It is a bit light on the ABV for such a heavy hitter of an Irish whiskey at 46%. But as you can see, I do enjoy it a lot more often than I probably should because it's definitely more than halfway gone. And honestly, I just can't bear to drink too much more of it because I just don't want to have to finish off the last bits of it, especially when you see how much the price has gone up for 2023. Speaking of the price, okay. Now this one we go back to 2022 in Costco for $239.99. The Costco item number on it is 94421. But as you can see in the picture from 2023, the price has jumped up to $299.99. So basically $300 out the door, which is a steep jump in percentage at 25%. But dollars wise, it's the biggest on this list at $60 more. So at those prices, I might just have to hold on to this one a little bit longer and take a little bit smaller sips until maybe the price stops jumping up so fast. So that is the Redbreast 21. All right, so last up today is the top of the top, the pinnacle of the standard spot line, which is going to be this Red Spot Irish whiskey. Now, Red Spot is the oldest of the natural spot that you can find in the normal line of the spot whiskeys. I mean, it has an age statement of 15 years on it. It's actually a reboot of a whiskey that went out of production for the spots back in the 1960s. But Mitchell's and Sons, those are the folks who distill it and distribute it, they brought it back to really a lot of fanfare. It is aged in ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and Oloroso casks, and also ex-Marsala casks, which makes it super delicious and has a mash bill of 100% malted and unmalted barley. It's ABV'd at 46%, as you can see right here, like most of the other ones. And it is also non-chill filtered. Now, this one we got at Total Wine last year in 2022 up in Northern California. We got this one for $164.98. But as you can see here in 2023, from down here in SoCal, is actually priced a little bit higher, just a little bit, at $169.99. So not a huge price change, which is kind of refreshing after seeing those huge jumps for the Yellow Spot and for the Redbreast 21. But with the change in price, it does come out to $5.01 more than what we paid for it last year, or a percentage change of 3.04%. So again, all in all, not bad in the grand scheme of things, but still, in the end, it kind of all does end up adding up. But that is the last whiskey on the list of the 7 best Irish whiskeys that you can buy right now for St. Paddy's Day, which is this Red Spot 15. All right, so that is the list of our 7 best Irish whiskeys that you can pick up right now today for St. Patrick's Day, and also kind of a sobering look at how inflation has really snuck up even onto the whiskey market. But if you like these videos, if you like the hauls, if you like the wanders, the reviews, the unbottlings, the unboxings, the tastings, and really all the other great stuff we got cooking up for you, don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help the channel to grow, and we sincerely appreciate that. But also, it is great for your whiskey mojo, and you get notifications when our newest videos come out on Sundays and sometimes in between. So with that, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, just buy it. Because if you don't, surely somebody else will. And in this case, it might even be me. All right, everybody, I'm out. Have a happy and safe St. Patrick's Day. Adios.